design conventions is the lack of a boss fight. Instead, there were a series of particularly emotionally effective scenes. Could you elaborate on how you came to the decision about using that?
Yeah. So in three quarters into the game, we wanted to win the game as a boss fight. It was like, game is going to finish a boss fight. It's traditional, everyone does it. And then 3 quarters into the game, I was going home and it's like, if I finish the game with a boss fight, I will never give closure to anyone who got a similar experience that I did. That's only imagine, I go there, I remember me as a kid playing Monster and defeating him, and if I drop the controller, and if that kid or that person didn't learn something from the game, I would have failed miserably. So I'm saying, and I went back into the team and said, look, we changed the end, scratched all the plans, and then I went like for a couple of weeks, and I prototyped all the 4th act. And then I came back to them and explained it. And this is how I explained to them. I said, games suck at giving closure. It just, yeah, like, in past year, it was just like how people felt betrayed by the end of Mass Effect or the ending of Assassin's Creed, the third. People felt betrayed because there was no closure. What, I spent 30 hours of my life playing this video game, and suddenly what did I learn at the end? It sucks. So then what I did was I said to myself, okay, how did I always design flowcharts based on emotions. And I said, okay, what are the steps that I did to actually overcome my father and become a good father today? And I went through all my SOC analysis, and I went, okay, the first thing you have to realize it is living with an alcoholic father, it is that it is real. It is not a lie. It is not, because suddenly people who live with people who are affected by someone who's addicted around themselves, or family, or a brother, or father, or mother, usually they live in denial. Say, no, it's just a phase, or he's not really drinking too much. He only gets drunk 3 times a week, or stuff like that. And then, so the first thing was realizing that the things happen to you. Then that's the sequence in the gondola and the statue. When you start saying, wow, this is real, this happened to someone. So people felt, my goal with that design was people to feel like, oh, okay, this is happening to a real person. Good. Then the second step is to realize that no one is there to save you. No one will save you. And that is really hard. So then throughout the game, I always mention the shaman is going to save you. The shaman is going to cure the monster. The shaman is going to cure him. Because you always think that when you have someone who suffers from an addiction, you think you can save them. You think there's a cure, but there will never be a cure. And then when you get to the shaman said like, here you go, there's no shaman. Here's only you and your memories. And then people are like, what? There's no cure for the monster. So that's the second thing that you go through. Then the third one, it is realizing what role you play in. And that is the last pieces of the game. Is that when you go there and you're taking bottles of whiskey, and then you're giving it to the monster, and they transform into frog, and then everything turns into flames. You've been playing a really cruel game. That was the goal, that's it. Then when you take the little dogs of Alejandra, and then you throw them, and then they transform into the real Alejandra, and the monster starts devouring Alejandra. That is also to make you, to shock you, say like, this is what is actually happening in real life is really violent. Deal with it. And then at the end, the thing that you have to do is you have to negotiate the good and the bad. And you have to let that person go. And that is the hardest thing people have to do in their lives. And the last scene of the game, it is after the monsters become really enraged and was eating Alejandra. He just goes to sleep in this beautiful space with beautiful sound. The sunset is there. There's butterflies, a tree, and then you have to let him go. And that it is the way that you actually cope with being the victim of an abusive alcoholic father.
Well, the end was particularly powerful for me when Pico accepts and makes peace with his memories. Was it difficult for you to return to that part of your life? And did you have a different end in your mind when you first wrote the game?
Yeah, no, yes, I was. Yeah, so the end, as I mentioned to you before, it was a boss fight. I think that when you start writing a book or something, you never know what the end is. So you have some idea of how you want to end it, but it's never the right ending. So it was hard. Yes, it was hard. It was hard, but it was beautiful at the same time. And then I remember when I did the gray box, so I prototyped it and the gameplay. Okay, what's going to happen? And I went, okay, good. I hope the mechanic is good enough that people get it. And then the composer Brian put the audio on top. And then I remember the first time I played that with the audio, I started crying. No. I started crying when I played that scene. And there was something really, really interesting about that scene that have touched a lot of people. And I remember when I told the animator to do the animation for the monster in bed and him falling falling to the 80s. And then he did the animation and it was not right. It didn't feel right. The monster was sleeping and it didn't feel right. And then I remember when I was a kid and my father died. My father died when I was 16, and then we were carrying his coffin, all my brothers and I. And when we carried his coffin, the hardest thing is that when you walk, his shoe was banging on the coffin, and you knew he was dead. Every pack that I carried it was kind of it was stabbing my heart. It was really difficult. And then I told that story to the animator, and then he put it there. And when people let monster go, they feel that they let go of that person. And many people that have spoken, they have this connection with that scene and letting go someone dead that they have been close to. And it's a kind of weird word, it's a kind of weird way that animation and that scene that I have in my head help other people. And that's the beauty of video games, that you can create you can create these simulations and recreate those difficult experiences in your life and maybe help other people.
Well, since the game's release in August last year, there have been much discussion and feedback about the game. What stood out in your mind the most, and what did you learn about the development team and yourself that you plan to bring to your next project?
Okay, there were two questions.
What stood out in your mind the most from the feedback and the comments, the discussions about the game?
That video game reviewers are completely off. Of many, not everyone, many of the video game reviewers, they're completely off the art of, or understanding of meaningful experience. That was a chapter for me. And then I remember when IGN was reviewing the game, when they were criticizing some bugs. And then I was talking to another reviewer, and he said something really interesting. A reviewer from Germany. He said like, he did like these guys were evaluating. It's like they took a novel and they were evaluating on how thick the pages were, how the ink was, did it have a hard cover. And that is the way some reviewers are evaluating games today, and that's really, really sad. That's what is sticking in my mind, the sad part. What sticks in the good part is many things. It is one in what seeing how other game journalists open themselves and share the stories. Colin Bennett wrote a beautiful article about Papo. When I read it, I was crying. It was so deep and profound. And I realized, wow, every game was like Papo, and I could leave other people experience and traumas and learn from them. I was so satisfied. And there one, and it was the mail from our fans. We received so much mail from our fans thanking us about how thank you for doing the game and also sharing the stories with us. And I never have experienced that in my life, working in games that you see the impact we have on people's life, like book that it is. A good example was when one of our fans wrote a mail saying like he is single father, he's a bit aggressive with his children, to his son, because being a father is really demanding. And sometimes you get really tired, sometimes he snaps with his son. And then he said that he realized how his son so emotional. And I was like, oh my God. That was so meaningful for me, because it is kind of actually making a game. I was making a game for the team, but it actually some monster played the game and changed his attitude. So I was hitting the kid and the mixer at the same time. So it was really, really meaningful. So when I say abuse, he was not really abusive. He was really live. And the fact that I talk about was powerful. And I think that every factor who sometimes is not with their team could let Papo get something out of it.
All right. The second part of the question was, what did you learn about your development team and about yourself that you plan to bring to your next project?
Oof. I learned that doing this type of games that are really emotional and really demanding on the team, and the management have to be done in a completely different way than you do in a normal game. People get really involved emotionally on it, and then you have to be really careful on writing with the people who help you do the game and their emotions. It's not like when we finish a big AAA game, people go there, put it in chat and stop. But now when you do an emotional game, people drive with those emotions, and those emotions could be good and bad sometimes. So for me, that was one of the parts that I learned. That is great. So, bring to the other part is that people, every time we get a letter from someone helping, we look for someone help, because we help them. They're just so happy. They're just so delighted that there's no bigger motivator than that. So we will continue doing emotional games.
Do you think you could ever go back to creating big budget AAA titles, or are you sticking replacing with more emotional games that have a big emotional payoffs?
I wanna make AAA emotional games.
Yeah.
I'm gonna change it. Just like the movies, like Schindler's, for example, was delivered with a really emotional movie, and I think that is an unavoidable future for games. We cannot avoid them. It's just a natural part of evolution. It is like Papo Yo was kind of the first drama game that happened, a big budget drama game. So right now, imagine the drama space in games is going to grow a lot in the future.
Why do you think drama in video games is only starting to catch on now and not during the PlayStation 2 era or even the PlayStation 1 era? Was it a technological issue or more of the industry not being mature enough to be able to handle it?
Multiple things. One is technology. Technology, for example, the tools. Tools were not accessible enough. If you, for example, when I started doing games, the only engine you can use is what if you had a company or you build it yourself. There were no engines. Today, you can download a real Unity. You can start doing games. So that is one thing. The other thing, it is the maturity of designers. For example, like it took me a long time to learn how to design emotional games. It is really complex. You have to play a lot with AI and how to send your AI and a bunch of mechanics. Papo has so many mechanics that in order to go with that, you have to have a great deal of knowledge of game design and development. And then the other one is the industry, and the industry was in the past 7 years was driven by a bit more by corporations who took over, and they created the $60 game, and that's what it was. They controlled the channels. Right now with digital distribution, things exploded. So suddenly, those are the three main factors that's gonna change the industry, and it's gonna continue changing it.
Do you see a fusion of AAA games like, for example, a game like Far Cry being able to show emotion like Papo Yo does in the future?
Yes, of course. They're gonna get there. Maybe I hope they get there soon, but and I'm trying to help the system to get them there soon. But yes, they're gonna do it.
So, for younger developers that are trying to break into the industry, what would your advice to them be?
I think that there is a trap there that the fact that you can do games today so easily and put them on iOS or anyone or some multiple platforms, that you believe that you're a game designer and you know it and that you can do it. Yes, you can do games. Now, pushing the game industry forward is a completely different business. And on that one, you have to have someone to pay for your mistakes. For example, like electronic cars pay for a lot of my mistakes. I did so many fuck-ups. And they paid for my learning. So, oh, let's try this. Oh, let's try that. Oh, let's try that. And that was coming out from the bucket. So suddenly, but if you're doing it by yourself, and suddenly, oh, I'm gonna try to do an AI interaction system about I don't know, whatever, and then you have to do it by yourself. Who's gonna pay for it? Your mother, or who's gonna pay for it? And then from who you're gonna learn from? So I think that's only it's good that we can put out games now. And the stuff it is that find mentors, and find someone who can pay for your mistakes. So then one day you can go there and go for it.
I'm just going to open up the floor to our audience. Does anyone have any questions?
I got a bunch.
All right. You come up and-
Sure.
Sorry, just have one question. Okay.
And we've got a few questions about Papo Yo, I guess. First one was Monster in the game? Was his human version? Was he a monster? Is that what I was understanding?
Sorry, can you repeat that one again?
Monster in Papo Yo was his human version. Was he supposed to be like a monster? Like there's a few flashbacks where you're running around like a black and white. There's a car. It's looking at a guy. Kind of like about to shoot him or something.
There's some truth in it. So I'm not going to elaborate on it, but there's some truth of that.
And does that mean that we might see a Papo Yo sequel or something?
No, it is. When I see other, like I have other couple of stories, really dramatic stories that I suffer. So it is it's going to be different. It's going to be emotional games, but it's going to be completely different.
No, yeah, you were just speaking about the games. I guess not much more you could say. I was just curious what some of your personal favorite indie games were. If there were any, I think you mentioned.
In the past 2 years, I haven't been playing a lot of indie games. I think that my favorite one lately it is because right now in the past 2 years I play a lot of games with my kid. It is Little Inferno. That is a beautiful game. I really love it. Then let me see if I want to play lately. There's a lot of mini games in the small games in the iOS. Actually, but I'm using it, so I don't remember the names. I play so many of them. Let me see. Let me find an answer for the question. No, because it's gonna call if I go back there.
That's. And why did you guys decide to put your game out on PlayStation?
Sorry, what is the PlayStation?
Right. Why did you want to put the Papo Yo on PlayStation?
Because I come from AAA games and I wanted to do a big game. I wanted to do a console game. It was I could have done Papo Yo in 2D or do something like that, but I wouldn't be fulfilling my role of pushing the game industry forward if I was doing an independent game with low budget. So I said, no, I have to do this game, and I want to push that these games can go mainstream, can affect a lot of people. And another reason we said to go console. Why PlayStation? Because the Sony guys were amazing. The Sony Fun really got it. They really understood what we were doing, and they were looking for games that challenge the game industry. And that's what Sony does. So that's the reason we went with Sony.
One more question. Now, I think I was reading online that you guys are working on a game for the Ouya.
Yes.
What is it like to develop on the Ouya? What do you think of the system?
I love it. So right now our game is gonna use the thumbstick and the pad, and that it opens a lot of opportunities for game design that are really cool. So it's amazing. So suddenly it is working in. The game is developed in Unity, so it's just really easy to go in and out. So it's gone great. When I know a bit more at GTC.
Well, I'm looking forward to trying that out. Cool. Thanks for answering my questions, then. Very much. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, man.
Any more questions? All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, Vander. It was an honor to talk to you and to meet you today.
Thank you very much for having me. So.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah.